Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. And in today's video, we'll be talking about Mercury in the first house. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. So before we start, I first want to give a quick disclaimer, and this is especially true for Mercury, because Mercury is a very difficult planet to predict. It has a very changeable and adaptable nature to it. So this is very important that you get these disclaimers out of the way before jumping into this video. So here with Mercury, you want to understand what sign is Mercury positioned in. Is he in a sign that he enjoys being in, or in a sign that he does not? And not only do you want to understand if Mercury is comfortable in the sign, but you want to understand the qualities of that sign, because Mercury is going to adapt to those qualities. Along with this, you want to understand, is Mercury conjunct with any planets in particular? That is definitely going to change the nature of Mercury. But also Mercury will be influenced by any planets that are aspecting to it as well. You also want to understand that Mercury is a very quick moving and changeable planet. So again, understanding that where Mercury is positioned, what planets it's with, what sign it's in, all of this is going to make a huge difference. And when we talk about this video in particular, you also want to see what the seventh lord is doing. If there's any planets in the seventh house, this is all going to make a difference, because Mercury will also aspect directly onto the seventh house of the chart. You also want to understand when you are going through a Mercury Mahadasha that Mercury will have the strongest impact on you. So if you have not seen my video on the Mercury Mahadasha Bhuktis, I will leave a link for that above and down below in the description. So what does Mercury represent? Mercury is considered to be a childlike energy, very youthful, very agile, adaptable, very quick-witted. There is a quickness to Mercury. So similar to Mars, where there is this sort of impulsive quality about it. But here Mercury becomes more intellectual, so slightly different from Mars. Mercury is very quick on its feet. He is like a prince, and so he is curious about everything, wants to learn everything. And so Mercury here is a very intelligent, very clever planet. It's very good at being persuasive, at use of words and languages. It is a planet that is all about our rational mind, our ability to make decisions, our memory. It is our ability to really sort out and deal with the everyday problems of life. So this is a very clever and adaptable planet, as I've mentioned before. Now, what does the first house represent? The first house is the house of the physical body, because the first house is representing the moment that you took birth. It is the ascendant, the sign that was rising from the east at the moment of birth. So the first house is signifying your personality, your physical appearance, your physical body, your health, your vitality. It is your path here in this lifetime. The first house also represents your intelligence, because it is about your ability to take action in life, how you make choices, how you make decisions in life, as it is the path that you are on. And so this is why Mercury is very powerful here in this first house. It has Digbala, or directional strength, when it comes into the first house, similar to Jupiter, because these are the two planets that are dealing with intelligence. Now, Jupiter was more of a spiritual, philosophical intelligence. Mercury here is more analytical, more about details, information, communication, and dealing with the practical aspects of life. So this is going to be a slightly different video than Jupiter in the first house. So what happens then when Mercury comes into the first house of your chart? Well, first of all, you're going to be a highly intelligent person, because as I've said, this is the house of your intelligence. The first house actually rules the brain, the head part of the body. So if we are dealing with medical astrology, we can see all sorts of mental illnesses and ailments related to the brain that are seen in this first house when it is negatively afflicted. And Mercury also is dealing with intelligence. So if you put Mercury here in this first house, both of these are indicators of intelligence. So definitely you are a highly intelligent person. Mercury here gives you an ability to think very quickly. Your mind is always moving, always racing. You're able to really shift from one thing to the next. And sometimes it is difficult for other people to even keep up with you, because you're thinking so quickly with this position. This can definitely make you a multitasker. You can take on multiple skills at once. You can think about multiple things at once. There's a lot of versatility to Mercury in this first house. Definitely the skills of communication will come into your life in some way with Mercury in the first house as well. So you could be skilled at writing, at journalism, at presentation, position at anything that really deals with communication. This is definitely a position where you could be skilled at research, where you could be skilled at law, where you could be skilled at politics. Anything where you're presenting information, anything when you're dealing with information, this is all seen with Mercury in this first house. Mercury here can definitely make you very confident and bold in the way that you communicate, because this is how you are presenting yourself to the world. This is the first part of the chart. So this can make you very direct in your way of communicating. You're not afraid to speak out. You're not afraid to make yourself heard, and you love to communicate. You love to have discussions. You love to have debates. You love to connect with others. Now, of course, if Mercury is afflicted in this chart, then you may have shyness or anxiety around communication, particularly around public speaking. This can be seen sometimes where with Mercury in the first house, you could be a little bit shy around presenting or communicating to an audience at a younger age. But as you get older, this shyness can go away. So no matter how Mercury is positioned here, this is definitely going to give a love of communication. Now, if Mercury is badly afflicted by harsher planets like Saturn or Mars or Rahu, for example, then this can give you a very intense way of speaking. You could sometimes come across as brash or aggressive in the way that you communicate. But for the most part, Mercury here makes you very charming, very clever, very good at persuading others, very good at speaking in a way that captures the attention of others. This definitely gives you a very attractive personality, and typically it gives you a very youthful personality also. So because Mercury is like a child, when you put it in this first house, it can give you a very beautiful and youthful appearance if it is placed well here. And like a child, Mercury in the first house can make you easily bored as well. Very restless, very curious, very much open to what is the next thing that you can learn, the next thing that you can work on, the next skill that you can develop. And again, this can create a difficulty with others keeping up with you, but it can also create a difficulty with sticking to one thing sometimes. There can be a tendency to get bored easily and to move on to the next thing. And so definitely with Mercury here, you want to be able to have flexibility. You want to be able to have an ability to do more than one thing at once to keep yourself stimulated. Because Mercury is about logical thinking and decision making, this can make you an excellent problem solver as well. If Mercury is placed well here, you can be ingenious, clever, very creative in your way of thinking. And this can definitely make you creative as well. You can be talented in the arts with Mercury placed here. And definitely in this new age of technology, you could be very attached with your smartphone, with your gadgets. You could be always wanting to communicate across the internet, finding some way to get your communication out to others. You could be very dexterous with this position because, again, Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, which is that original third house that rules over the hands. So you could be very skilled and talented with the use of hands. You could be someone who is able to work on different projects and so on. But again, this can get you into the arts as well, singing, dancing, music, and definitely because Mercury is communication, this can give you skills with languages. This could be sign language, this can be dealing with foreign languages, and so on. Sometimes because Mercury is like a child, you also can be very demanding in terms of wanting attention, right? It's like how a little child wants to get attention from others. And so this is not necessarily a negative thing if Mercury is not placed badly. It just means that you want to connect with people, you want to exchange ideas. But sometimes this can come across as overbearing to some people. And definitely because Mercury is aspecting onto the seventh house, you want a spouse who is going to be able to hold conversation, who's going to be stimulating, interesting. You want someone who you can talk to, who you can connect with. Having that mental connection is very important to you. Sometimes, though, the relationship and marriage can be a little bit shaky because Mercury is a changeable planet. So if there aren't other planets there that are supporting this, and again, as I've said in the beginning of this video, you want to check out the seventh house Lord because of how changeable Mercury is. This is very important. But Mercury here definitely can create some ups and downs in your marriage situation. You can have difficulty finding the right partner, or there can be a difficulty with actually maintaining in this area because you have so many different other areas that you have to focus on. So you can find yourself sort of jumping around to different tasks and responsibilities, and this can definitely create problems in your relationship. Sometimes Mercury here, depending upon how it is placed, again, so important to see what sign it's in, to see what planets are with Mercury. This is all going to change it completely because of how adaptable Mercury is. But sometimes sometimes this can create situations where you get married early on in life or where you get married later in life. And in that case of getting married later, again, it's due to having difficulty finding the right partner. And because Mercury's looking at this seventh house, which is all about other people, this can definitely, again, work in your favor in terms of persuasion, presenting to others, your communication abilities. Mercury is the karaka for business, and that seventh house is not just about marriage relationships, but also business partnerships, dealing with the marketplace, dealing with other people in the world. So this can make you very skilled at business as well. You can be very skilled at multiple sources of income, at persuading through the media, through any kind of communication outlet. You can be a good deal maker with this position. You can have an innate understanding of business. And again, it all comes down to how Mercury's placed in this first house, but this is definitely a great position for entrepreneurship, for business, and so on. Sometimes if Mercury is not placed well in the chart, as I mentioned before, when the first house is negatively afflicted, it can definitely give some mental disabilities sometimes. So definitely because Mercury deals so much with the rational mind, and this has you always thinking, always analyzing, always questioning, you can find that your mind is moving too much with this position, and this can lead to some mental illnesses or difficulties in this area sometimes. So definitely it's important if you have Mercury in the first house that you're finding some kind of relaxation technique, something that can calm the mind. Otherwise you can find yourself with anxiety, with stress, and with OCD, with other conditions that can be very difficult with this position for sure. Mercury here has such a difficult time with actually just relaxing and sticking to one direction. There's constantly analyzing and thinking that's happening with this position, and this can definitely make you critical as well, where you want to know things, you want to understand things, so you don't exactly take things at face value sometimes with Mercury in the first also. You can be very critical, you can be very good, again, with research, with investigation, with really getting into the details and finding out answers. So that can also play a role into the type of career that you get involved with. This is such a versatile position that really Mercury in the first house can represent almost anything depending upon how it is placed. So go ahead and let me know in the comments how this is playing out for you and if you resonated with this video. Also, don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this, and if you are new to this channel and you're looking for new videos on astrology, definitely subscribe so that you don't miss out on anything. I have previous videos on Jupiter, on Saturn, on the nodes, and so on. So there's so much more to come on this channel. Make sure that you don't miss out. Also, if you are interested in an astrology reading with me, a consultation, make sure to check out my website to book an appointment. I have my link for the website down below in the description for you, also in the comments section.